Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. We have a wonderful guest today, Karen Shaw, and it's a really, really important topic. Karen helps her clients who are parents to connect with their children. We could have done with your help, Karen, when I was younger, because I was an absolute nightmare to my parents. We can talk about that later. I just want to make an official shout out to our show sponsors, Craig Shelley, Beverly Hills Luxury Watches and Fine Jewellery at craigshelley.com. We are streaming live on mspnewsglobal.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we're also on the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes, going out to Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, Roku, and many more. So let's bring in our incredible guest, Karen Shaw. Karen, welcome to Brilliance Business TV.
Thank you so much. I am really happy and very grateful to be here, Mark.
I'm really looking forward to a conversation with you, Karen. Like I mentioned, I feel it's really important what you're doing with parents to connect with their children. I was quite a handful when I was younger. I had addictions. I had low self-esteem, low self-confidence. I used to really play up. I kind of went out of control. So someone like you would have really, really made a difference, or maybe not, because I was so out of control. But Karen, can you just take us back a little bit of your past, your background that has led you to do what you do today?
Of course I can. The thing is, Mark, there's never anything any child does without a very good reason, and it's finding that reason and addressing that. For me, I was a struggling mom with 3 boys who, as you've already mentioned, have unique challenges. They've all got their own challenges. Most children do. And mine started when my eldest was 10 years old and had a brain hemorrhage. And then that was when my middle one was only weeks old. He got neglected in a way. And then we had another son came along and was on the autistic spectrum, so hands full. And I ended up getting divorced and being a single mom. And I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know what to do to cope with them. I was desperately unhappy. And the first thing that I ever did was NLP. And it just took me on this journey of understanding the unconscious mind, how important language is. And the thing that I remember really clearly to this day is sitting in a training room when the trainer said, "Nobody can make you anything." I thought, she doesn't know my kids. They make me really angry. They make me upset. They make me... And what I realised, Mark, was I was pointing that finger at them when the 3 were pointing back at me. And it's like, let's have a look at this in a different way. And it was from then on, I just changed my whole perspective of life, of understanding behaviour, and carried on, got really into energy therapies, looked at child psychology, looked at child and brain development. And all that through the years gave me tools and techniques to change everything, because I was not having a good relationship with them at all. And it made me realise that I could change everything, and we all can. So that gave me the passion to go out and help parents.
So from being a parent, going through lots of challenges, as most parents do,
Yeah.
and then becoming a single mom, and then you discovered NLP, which has led you to do the work that you're doing today with parents. I myself have used NLP. I also like hypnotherapy as well. They're really, really powerful tools, Karen. Tell us a little bit about your business now and how you support your clients who are parents.
Yeah. It depends what a parent comes to me with, I suppose. And the interesting thing is, a lot of parents will think it's the child. You know, can you change my child? They're doing this. And it's us and the way we are being. And I mean being because we're human beings, not human doings. And when we start to behave differently and come from a different place and look at things, not sweat the small stuff, not get hung up on things, and just be more present and more connected, there's a solution for everything. For me, it's understanding the language and what the unconscious mind does and doesn't do. And I love that you mentioned the hypnotherapy, because Eden, who is my youngest one on the autistic spectrum and could hardly read or write, labelled with dyslexia, ADHD, he was 11, going to his secondary school and could barely read or write 3-letter words. And I used what I call hypno-speak. And I just used to lie with him, you know, at night, while he was going to sleep, when the brain waves are changing, and put in these positive statements. So I use that and help parents create scripts that will be able to change what their child is thinking or what they're thinking. I concentrate an awful lot on energetic communication because we know that's massive. We are constantly giving out this electromagnetic field. Our children are in it. They pick it up. We are affecting them when we don't think we are. And something that I know parents do quite often is talk about the child when they're there. And that isn't helpful. We use the labels. We say they are this, they are that. And even that can be quite damaging. They're not dyslexic. They're not diabetic. They have that. And if we can start to differentiate between who they are and what they have, we can start to make differences already.
I agree with you that energy is really, really powerful. When you walk into a room and there may be some tension, you can feel that tension as soon as you walk into a room, and that's, excuse me, the energetic field that you're talking about. Yeah. And also, it's so important because some parents, they might not know the behaviour that is causing issues or causing problems. And some parents go through such guilt as well. And sometimes it's hard to control anger as well if maybe your children are really irritating you or winding you up. Yeah. So I think it's great that a mentor like you is there to give them these tools that can really make such a big difference, Karen. Yeah. My next question, what do parents come to you with? What are some of the common problems and issues maybe that is really common that parents come to you with?
They come to me with a variety of them. One of the very, very common ones is the kids won't listen. They won't do as they ask. They're just not getting through to them. They behave in ways they don't want. They don't understand their behaviour. And there are different areas that I cover. One of them we've talked about, the unconscious mind and language is really important. So I just wanted to, what we say to children is we are focusing on what we don't want so often, aren't we, Mark? We focus on what we don't want them to do, and then we tell them to don't run, don't speak to me like that, don't slam doors, don't. And we are actually pointing them to the things we don't want. If I said to you right now, Mark, whatever you do, don't think about a giraffe. I mean, why would I even put that idea into your head? And yet we do it with our children. We put ideas in. So the language is really important. And they're the tips. Do you want me to? These are what I was going to talk about. Don't, ditching don'ts and that. So
share a few tips. Go ahead, because if it's relevant to talk about some tips now. So some tips for language that parents should be using. That's absolutely fine, Karen.
Okay. So what I'm going to say is I will not tell anyone what they should do. However, these work better. So it's ditch the don'ts. When I came back from my NLP course, I had 3 flip chart papers of don'ts. And the trick was simply to flip it and ask for what I did want. Now that takes time. So what I do spend time with clients is writing scripts with them for the specific issues that are bugging them or bothering them. So if we can remember to ditch the don't, say what we do want, not what we don't. And the other one that we tend to do with children is but. And that's the negation. So I say, sit on your butt. That's the best place for it. Instead of saying, yes, you can, but the child's already hearing negative energy. We can hear it. It's bringing it down, isn't it? We can say and. We can substitute but for and. Yes, you can and. I'll give you an example. If one of my sons said, can I go to a party on a Friday night? The old me would have said, yes, you can, but be home on time. Don't lose your phone, stay sober. And to realise all I needed to say was, yes, you can, and be home on time, stay sober, keep your phone safe, have enough money for a taxi. It's just a completely different energy around it. And a tiny little word that a lot of people use is the try word. We encourage people to try, and it's not as empowering as just do. Yoda says it beautifully, doesn't it? There is do or do not. There is no try. You can't try and do something because your unconscious mind can't actually get hold of a concept there. So it's to say, do something. Do your best. Can't ask any more than that. So 3 words that I think we use so often without thinking about the outcome we're going to get because we're using them. So, yeah, so that's what parents, it's the kids aren't listening, they're not connecting with them. And what's also very interesting is a lot of the time the behaviour that the kids are presenting with are just because of the age. And so we don't know very much at all as parents about child and brain development. And we don't have to know a lot. It's thinking, if your child is constantly having these tantrums and you don't know what's wrong with them, if we can think that they're going through an emotion is just energy in motion that they're experiencing through the body. And Mark, there's a first time that anybody experiences anger, shame, frustration, disappointment. And yet we expect our children just to cope with it without helping them through it.
It makes total sense, Karen, and the power of words, the power of language can really make a huge impact. And I remember as a child, when your parents do say don't, you go ahead and do it, and it's just some kind of rebellion. But when you are told, don't do this, you're so right. It makes you go ahead and do it when you are younger. So those tips are really, really valuable. Thank you for sharing those.
My pleasure.
We're going to go to a commercial break, so stay where you are, Karen. We are joined with the incredible Karen Shaw. She has shared her personal journey of struggling as a parent and being challenged, and then she ended up as a single parent. And then she discovered NLP, which led her on a path to supporting parents to connect with their children. I have really enjoyed part 1. Join us for part 2 and stay where you are. Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV. I'm your host, Mark Stephen Pooler, and we're here with Karen Shaw. Karen helps parents to connect with their children. What a great conversation so far, Karen. I really, really enjoyed it. My next question: what kind of things do you tell parents that they may not be expecting that you tell them to do?
A lot of it is that it's not the child, it's them. But I do say it sort of gently and kindly. It's your outlook, and it's your, I'm going to say, old paradigm way of thinking. This is what parenting is, and it should be. Now, that word, I mentioned it before, parents think that their kids should behave in a certain way and should do what they're told, and it isn't really true, because this incredible new person is unique, and they've got their own journey and their own path to take. One of the best ways of learning, and I'm sure you know this, Mark, is experience. We think we're going to tell them what to do. And really, if we could let go of those apron strings and let them, they learn far quicker. I also, you mentioned it before and you said parents get irritated by the kids or they get angry. I use an energy alignment method, which allows you to release the energy of anger. We have scales of, frequencies, don't we, where the emotions are those low vibrational ones going all the way up to the top. Dr. Hawkins, in his book, Power versus Force, he's got this whole level of consciousness. And those lower vibrational emotions, it means it's in our body, and that's what we're feeling. When we can release them with what I use is the energy alignment method, it can just dissipate that energy so that you can get yourself to a higher vibration, and then you are able to cope with more. Then you're not as stressed. And it is interesting that the thing that triggers a lot of parents, when we stop and look at why we get angry with them, for instance, the children are just not listening to them. They've got to repeat themselves over and over again. Then I ask them to look, where else in their life are they not listened to? Because it's not just the children. It'll be from another experience. It can often be the partner, the boss at work. It can be when they were a child and didn't feel listened to. Now, because I believe in past lives, or the energy that's in us has come from other places, then it can be from there as well. Energy can't be destroyed, can it, or created? It just always is. So the energy is constantly recycled. And even when we get these brand new, beautiful babies, yes, that human form's new. The energy isn't all new. And so we get energy passed down through generations. It's ancestral. It can be from in the mother's womb. That's a really interesting place. It can be during birth. It can be in your childhood. And we carry all this. And so looking at why your child triggers you can take you in all sorts of places when we do sessions to find out where it's from. We release it. And then you are not as triggered and you are just in that calmer place to be able to cope with them and connect.
I love that all about energy, and I find it quite fascinating. Some people don't feel connected to the earth. They don't feel connected to the universe. And I just love that saying that the iron in our blood was made deep inside of a star. And that just makes you see that we are part of the universe. We're made of the universe. So thank you for bringing that to light for me today, Karen.
That's lovely. Yeah.
So what I am getting, Karen, a lot of parents will come to you thinking that it's all their children's fault. Mm-hmm. And then you may be saying to the parents, you're the one that needs to change, and then the child will change. So they must love you for that in the beginning.
Well, like I say, I wouldn't ever say they needed to. I'll say, if we look at this, let's see if this helps, because it's putting forward ideas without, going in too heavy-handed. And yes, it doesn't go down well sometimes. There are parents who are not willing to change, their view on parenting. I think it's a two-way street. Their children are here to teach us as much, if not more. And we haven't got all the answers, and we certainly haven't got them for them. Khalil Gibran's poem, your children are not your children. They come through you, but are not of you. You can house their bodies, can't you? Not their souls. They have their own thoughts. And if we can look at it as that, this is a unique being to have their own journey. And so we've made some agreement. Now that is where the people who are ready go further, and we find out whether there's been soul agreements. And we've already made some kind of, contract to play out this role for all of us to learn.
Why do you, in your eyes, why is your parenting approach so unique and different to other parenting approaches out there, Karen?
I think there's a lot out there that would say it's positive, it's positive parenting. Absolutely, totally agree. And it's about communication. And communication, a lot of the time people think about the language and body language, and I take it a little bit further because I'm talking about how we influence our children with our energetic communication. And as we mentioned earlier, that is that electromagnetic field that we put out, and there's so much information in there. So much so, I just need to tell you, when Eden was little, the son who's on the autistic spectrum, and I was going through the divorce, and I'd be in that mood, and I'd be in my head, I'd be thinking things, not saying anything. And he would say to me, "What's the matter, Mommy?" And I think, whoa, how does he know there's something the matter? Because they can read our energy.
A little bit like pets as well.
Absolutely, yeah. They can read it and feel it. We all can, like you said, you walk into a room and you can either say you could cut the atmosphere with a knife, or you can say the vibes in here are fantastic. We're talking about vibration constantly. So that is, that's different, because parents don't realize that. I call it kinetic parenting, and kinetic just means movement. Now, it's almost like a sting song. Every thought you have, every breath you take, every move you make, you're influencing them, because the energy's coming off it. And they do pick up, they're picking up the energy, and then it's going through them, and then it's repeated. So it's about energy for me a lot of the time. I also do soul contracts or agreements for parents. And I do bring in the child and brain development so we can understand those different ages. We've mentioned the toddler age can be testing and trying, and we've not given much thought to their own experience and emotion, and it would be great if we could help them through it. When parents want to either admonish or, and I really don't like the word punish, but time out, naughty steps, that's when they need time in and they need your presence and to feel safe more than ever. We've got beautiful teenagers, Mark, whose brain just hasn't wired properly yet. And the things that they do that annoy parents, it annoyed me. I had 3 teenagers at the same time. They don't want to go to bed when we want them to. And that's because the melanin's not been produced yet. It isn't produced till much later. We do, I think it's about 10 o'clock at night. Theirs will be like 1 o'clock in the morning. So they're not sleepy. And then, of course, because they are growing and so much work's going on in the body, they need more sleep. They're not just lazy and they're not just clumsy. They go through these growth spurts and they don't know where the end of the limbs are. And my middle son, bless him, was the most sort of gangly. He'd fall upstairs, downstairs, knock things over when he reached. And this is all, if we understand it, it's biology. It's what happens. And then, so there's a lot of different aspects that I bring to it. And what I also bring is my unique experience of over 42 years of parenting, Mark, of children who have probably brought me most of the challenges that you can have.
You have walked the walk and talked the talk, Karen, and education, even what you have just shared, it gives parents that education of maybe why the kids want to stay up a little bit later. That could cause all sorts of problems without knowing that. So it's just such an important thing that you are doing. Now, I want you to share a little bit about your #1 best-selling book, Parenting Magic, and tell us where we can get a hold of it, what's in the book.
Yeah, well, the different areas that I've mentioned that I go through with clients is in the book. So we talk about energy. We look at who and what we truly are as human beings, what we're capable of, what we can change. I put in a lot of what I call magic language that gives you reasons things are not working. And simple tips I've already given. The other one that's really important is how you avoid arguments. That's in there because it's the words we interrogate a lot of the time. Why have you done that? Who do you think you are? When are you going to do this? What? All those words put people on the back foot. So I really encourage, everybody actually, Mark, to be declarative. Start with you. I'm wondering, I'm curious, I'd like to know, and then ask the question instead of just bowling in there. So there's a whole section on magic language and how we can get the outcome we want. There's a section on the child and brain development going all through the ages that shows us the reason behind what a lot of parents would consider the problems. And then looking at the sort of soul aspect of it and a different way of being and a different outlook on parenting completely is in there too.
And where would our audience get a copy, Karen?
It is on Amazon. It is there. You can get it. And you can order it through my website as well.
I would encourage everyone to go to parentingmagic.co.uk and grab a copy of Parenting Magic. It's also available on Amazon. It's an #1 best-selling book. And if you have children and you want support with parenting so that you connect better with your child, get a copy of parentingmagic.co.uk. Now, you have a Facebook group as well. Tell us who you want to come and join your group and how they can get access to it.
Well, if they're on Facebook, they'll find it easily. Parenting Magic always inspired, because that's what I think we can all be. When you think about inspired as being in spirit and having life in us, then we can all do it. So it's on there for anyone, parents of children at all ages. Once a parent, always a parent. So there's always things that we can do to improve. So if anybody wants to talk to me, they can book a call as well, either through the Facebook group or on the website. I love talking to people and seeing how I can help, what might make a difference.
Karen, I have thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you today. I think the work that you are doing is really, really valuable. It can really have a big impact on a parent's life, but the child's life as well. It's really, really great work. It must be so rewarding for you to be getting such great results for your clients and their children. Thank you for coming on to the Brilliance Business TV show.
My pleasure, absolutely. I love what I do. I feel privileged, so I'm so blessed. Thank you.
The pleasure's been all mine today. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you, everyone, for watching Brilliance Business TV. Karen Shaw has shared her personal journey of being challenged as a parent. She then ended up as a single parent. She discovered NLP, and that has led her onto a path of supporting parents to connect with their children. She's the #1 best-selling author of Parenting Magic. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Until next time, bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.